Veterans Voice is a show that connects veterans and active members of the military to qualified guests who help you find programs and benefits you qualify for and discuss housing, education, career training, and other topical matters. Every show addresses issues that affect your life. Each week, Veterans Voice will begin with a story from one of our veterans about his or her experiences in the military. We want to thank these veterans for sharing these stories with us.
Okay, the reason I got the DFC was we were called and asked to volunteer, that they had 10 men, Army and Air Force, at this little base. I forgot the name of the base. I could look at the record and see. But it wasn't too far northwest of Saigon, and they had an artillery piece. I'm not that familiar with the Army's weaponry, but they had an artillery piece that, and they were going to be overrun. And they'd been holding out for about 2 days, and they wanted us to go in and get them out. And the best time to do it was at night, and had to do it with a blackout night landing. And there's no lights on the field. So we flew over it, and they had an ADF, and they communicated with us where they were. And the needle swung, and we talked to them, and we had a feeling for where it was, and we knew the heading of the runway. So we flew what we thought was a downwind, and the airplane would shake every once in a while from the war going on under us. And we turned final, and they said they had a Jeep at each end of the runway, and that the Jeep didn't want to get hit any more than we did, but it would flash its lights real quick when we told them to, so we'd get a bearing as to where the end of the runway was and where the beginning was. It was a dirt runway, and it was wet. It was raining. Terrible, terrible weather. And we didn't know if it was the thunder or if it was the artillery, but every once in a while we'd get this noise, and we'd be shaking, and it was not comfortable. So finally we saw the flash at the far end. We never did see the flash at this end until we were down real close, but we got down and we saw a quick flash. And we knew that as short as runway was, being wet, that we were going to have to go in reverse before we landed. You know, in the air, we were going to put these propellers in reverse. And we were going to land standing on the brakes. So we're going down, and we think, we're using our imagination. We saw the flash down there. We saw what we thought was a flash up here. And we didn't know if we were for sure if we were landing trees or halfway down the runway or what. But we came down, and right before our altimeter showed like 20 feet, the co-pilot told me, I wasn't looking at it, and I bring them up over the gate into reverse and stand up on the brakes, and boom, we plodded down, and we hit a hole, some kind of a hole, and knocked the gear doors off the airplane. They were gone. And we skidded around, and finally we saw a flashlight waving to us. We taxied down to it, and we turned in. We did about and lined back up again, because we didn't know. We thought we just might get a second's warning to get out of there. So we're sitting there, and they're loading this artillery piece, and I heard this guy back there cussing, who's the blankety blank flying this thing? And it was some Army sergeant. And he came up, and he was covered, both of them. All you could see were these white eyeballs and this mouth, the teeth. And he came up and says, I love you both. And he said, I never thought I'd say that to an Air Force officer in my life, but I love you both. And they said that when we went into reverse, they thought we'd hit them. And they both just dived out of the Jeep, and they landed in the mud. And then they said they laid there and laughed that they were still alive, and they saw us heading down, off into the rain. And but they were hugging us and telling us how great it was to be able to, and we loaded them up, and then we lined up, released brakes. There wasn't a soul on that place when we left. It was empty, and we got out of there.